All right, let's break it down with our guys, the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and CBS Sports NFL analyst Ryan Wilson. Guys, let's just go big picture here. We'll talk about the game in a moment, but when you look at this Eagles team, 6-0 heading into their bye week, young coach, young quarterback, lots of new pieces in that locker room. It's come together really quickly. Sitting at 6-0, Ryan, how impressed are you at what they've accomplished here in the first third of the season?
Incredibly impressed. And you mentioned Nick Sirianni doing a great job in year two, Jalen Hurts doing his thing year two as a starter, Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, dialing up plays and seemingly winning the chess match this night against Dan Quinn. And it's happened week in and week out. And I think there's a lot to take away from that. We talked pregame. BMAC especially mentioned how good this Eagles defense has been. We talked about how balanced the offense has been. We saw it in the first half of this game. And even in the second half, and this is a big loss, and we can get into it, Lane Johnson went down, and that's what changed the game for the Cowboys in terms of controlling the clock and getting back into it. What happens in 2 weeks from now? Hopefully everyone's healthy for the Eagles. But in terms of getting to this point, getting to 6-0, the best team in the NFL record-wise, the best team in the division, obviously, in the NFC East. There's a lot to be happy about as you go into this bye and tweak and retool as you come out looking ahead towards Week 8.
Yeah, I'm very impressed as well. And if you look at how this team was, put together, you got to give Howie Roseman, a tip of the hat. Not just killing it in the draft, but what he did via free agency, bringing in experienced, sound vets to add to the young talent that they already had in place, has really been beneficial in what we've seen so far from this team. Jalen Hurts, Devontae, Miles Sanders, adding A.J. Brown, looking at what they did defensively. James Bradbury was a big-time plus, being able to get him from a divisional foe in the New York Giants, Hassan Reddick. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job putting together a nice roster. And the roster that they have currently, all the new players, all the new additions have basically, paid out for them. Most importantly, you talked about the Lane Johnson injury. We don't know exactly how severe that is. But if they can stay healthy, this is a team that can go deep, have a deep, successful run this season. But it all starts and stops with the quarterback. So far, Jalen Hurts has done everything you would want your quarterback to do. And the unique thing about the Philadelphia Eagles that I love, they have shown us the ability to win in many different ways. Mm-hmm. They can blow you out. They can win the close ball games. They can fall behind and fight back. They have so many different ways of putting points on the scoreboard, and because of that, they're undefeated.
Yeah, I agree with you there, B-Mac. Very impressive with what they've done. Not sure they dictated, especially the third quarter in this one. And when you're 6-0, any questions asked, it's going to be from a nitpick, so let's nitpick here. I did ask you guys a few weeks back if the second half splits worried you at all when it comes to this Philly team. I was brushed off, but I would like to revisit. So with that said, B-Mac, do the second half splits worry you at all with this Philly team? When they do get into a close one, are they going to be able to do it?
It's concerning, but then when you look at how they can bounce back, when the Cowboys had that surge in the second half, what they did, what did they do? They ran the football, right? They ran the football, they utilized clock, and they were able to get in the end zone. And then the unique thing for Philly that they have in their favor, I mean, the NFC is not as dicey as we thought it would be. Right? We all thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be a legit competitor. Mm-hmm. We all thought the Rams would be. We all thought Green Bay would be. Those teams have been disappointing, to say the least. And if you look at the Eagles' schedule after their bye week, I mean, they have a favorable schedule. So, yes, I'm concerned with some of the second half slip-ups that we've seen, but yet and still they're undefeated. They're finding ways to win. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm a little less concerned. They've won those close ball games. Look, eventually they're going to lose a football game. They're not going undefeated. At least I don't imagine they will. But in the time that's gotten us to this point, they have eked out those close wins even after slow starts in the second half. And in this game on Sunday night, I'm attributing the second half performance by that Cowboys offense, at least in the third quarter, to the fact that they were able to get on the field because Lane Johnson, again, going down, opened things up defensively for the Cowboys to get the Eagles offense off the field. They ran 9 plays in the third quarter on 2 drives the Philadelphia Eagles did. We saw that Cooper Rush was finally able to get that running game going and help him out in terms of throwing the ball down the field. So I'm not overly concerned, and if we've learned anything, is that this Eagles team, with their young coaching staff, has been able to tweak this thing on the run and do it so efficiently that they are currently the best team in football, at least record-wise. So growing pains for a young team, growing pains for a young coaching staff, sure, absolutely. But you want to have those growing pains while you're still doing things positively, and 6-0 is about as positive as it gets.
Yeah, clean record is all you can ask for, but outscored 14-6 in the second half, outgained 234-95 in that second half, and still well in the negative when it comes to the fourth quarter scoring differential this season. 6-0 is 6-0, and this is what 6-0 means. It's a heck of a start to the season. Eagles' best starts. And when you look back to 2004, that was a loss in the Super Bowl, and then they started 7-0. Got to go all the way back to 81 for their last 6-0 start prior to that. All right, guys, I think we should close the book on Cooper Rush because it is expected that Dak Prescott will be back and available here in the short term. Rush 4-1 as a backup, and that's really all you can ask for from a guy like Rush. When you take a look at what he did accomplish on this night and in nights prior, what do you make of Rush's performance, and what did he do for himself, not just this year, but let's say Cooper Rush, the quarterback, moving forward, Ryan?
Law of averages caught up with Cooper Rush, and that's just reality. 4-0 this season, 5-0 overall coming into this football game, and he made a ton of mistakes. I'm not going to say he's the sole reason that the Cowboys lost this game, but he didn't help. Those 3 turnovers were absolutely huge. And, you know, me, you, and B-Mac were talking last week about, well, you know, if Cooper Rush stays hot, there's no reason to get Dak back on the field in a hurry. Dak will be starting next week, I'm almost certain. They play the Lions and the Bears before they get to their bye week, and they don't want to mess around anymore with Cooper Rush. He did his job. He did a fantastic job. And to your point, Joe, if you said, hey, 4-1 with Cooper Rush, when you lose Dak in week 1, are you okay with that? Everyone's raising their hand and saying absolutely. That's right. So we'll take it. Thank you for your service, Cooper Rush. Now please take a seat on the bench there and let Dak get back to being Dak.
Yo, Ryan, I think if you were to ask Dallas Cowboys fans, would they be 4-1 with Dak Prescott, would they be happy with that? I think they would jump for joy as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just being 4-1 regardless was a plus, but doing it with your backup quarterback is even better. You know what I mean? So tonight was a tall task, playing against the best team in the National Football League on the road, and they made him look like a backup quarterback, right? And I think if you look at going into this game, the expectations, many people wanted to see Cooper Rush just manage the system, right? And not asking him to win the game with his arm because he's not that type of quarterback. And today he had his worst game of the season, but he played against the best team in the National Football League. So in all, he solidified himself as the ultimate backup for this team. And one thing I know about backup quarterbacks, sometimes that's the best position to have on a football team because you can really not necessarily milk the system, but you can stay around and your NFL life could be extended. If you're in the best situation and you don't necessarily got to play a lot, but just mostly in the preseason, man, you can earn a lot of bank. So I understand he want to be competitive, but ask Chase Daniels how beneficial a backup quarterback role can be.
You ain't got to play good to pay good. You just got to be good when they call your number, and Cooper Rush has been that. But I gotta fix my IFB here. Because I think I just heard best team in the NFL, and BMAC, you know I got to do it when you make a statement like that. A knee-jerk power ranking is what we need from you right now. We did see the top of the AFC go at it here earlier in the day, and Buffalo came out on top. Safe to say we did just see the NFC's best as well. But when you're looking at those 3 teams, BMAC, situate them for me.
Yeah, the Eagles would be my number 1. They passed the eye test for me. Record-wise, they're the only flawless team in the National Football League, followed by the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is right there. I would love to see these 2 teams face off like tomorrow if possible. But unfortunately, we won't see that. And then I think I would put my number 3 team, I would put Kansas City, the third best team in the National Football League. So Philly, Buffalo, Kansas City, top 3.
Here's what I've learned, Joe. B-Mac's been hanging out with our Pick 6 pod producer, Eric DiBerardinis, too much. Huge Eagles fan, so he got into Debo's ear. I got into B-Mac's ear. I'll say this. I don't think B-Mac's far off. I'm sticking with Josh Allen and the Bills for what they did today in Arrowhead. 1B is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles based on what they've done. And then I'm going to put the Chiefs at number 2. That's the top 3 total there. I'm not quite willing to put Philadelphia number 1. Look, man, they're going to get an opportunity to prove themselves throughout the rest of the season. They're going to probably go to the playoffs, and we'll see how they respond there. Last year they lost to the Buccaneers. This is a different football team in both Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. But right now I'm going with Buffalo just because of the sustained success they've had over the last almost 2 seasons now.
Ryan Wilson, I will co-sign that in pen. It comes down to the quarterback, and I'm still giving the edge to Josh Allen. You guys give us our edge, and we appreciate you all day long here in Week 6 in the NFL. Thank you, fellas. All right, here's a look at Jalen Hurts, what he's done against the Cowboys those first 2 games. Came into this one not having beat the Cowboys, but Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott, caught a nice one this time. Let's just say it. Won by 9 after losing the first 2 games. Passing yardage, that is, in the first 2 games, 334 on average here on Sunday, $155. So numbers don't matter, letters do, and it's a W on Sunday night.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.